pigeon! Whoa! What's going on?
You can't do that.
You can't come in my f***ing house. Okay? Don't tell me the f***ing law. You and my f***ing Saturday and keep out of my f***ing house.
There's the camper who became the victim of a violent attack.
Because she was just waking up. She had glass in her eyes. When I talked to her, she was still pulling glass out of her ears.
However, let's begin with the story of the camper who got overthrown in his campsite.
And I rolled into my campsite and noticed that several of my things were moved, like my chair and my tripod, and people were setting up camp in my campsite.
Meet Eric, the adventurous host of the Nomadic Fanatic channel. With his love for camping and his two adorable cats, Tara and Opie, he invites us to join him on his exciting RV camping escapades. In July 2022, Eric embarked on yet another journey that turned out to be an unforgettable experience for him.
Just so you guys know, but my tripod, that was where they're putting their tent and blocking me in, and then they got a four-wheeler and a cooler. Apparently they just had to camp right on top of me in my actual campsite here. Then in front of my RV, you got these three boys setting up their tent right in front of my RV also. So when I rolled in, I was a little frustrated at what I saw because they even had a vehicle kind of blocking the entrance into where my RV was at. But I got out of the car, and I think my exact words are, wow, you guys just had to just camp right on top of me where I'm camping in my personal site? And they said, oh, it's too full everywhere else. I said, well, it got really full here. You moved my camping chair and my tripod, and you just set up camp in my camp. Oh, well, we're going to be here for the weekend. There's nowhere else to go. Common sense is definitely not common anymore, by the way.
Eric thought he could manage being around the others, but it seemed like the other campers were doing their best to get on his nerves.
The really messed up part about it is I'm so bad at confrontations that I don't even know how to leave if I wanted to. Like, what would I do? How would I say it? Would I just not talk to him, hook up the car, and just pack up? It's okay, Opie. I'm glad that was a fun teaching moment for that family of a-holes. Hey kids, if we get here late and people are already set up, just set up on top of them and make as much noise as possible, be as rude as possible, because that's what camping's all about.
Feeling overwhelmed by the growing tensions around him, Eric decided it was time to pack up and take the high road. With the sun still shining brightly overhead, he knew it was smart to leave before the darkness set in. The erratic behavior he had observed from the others left him feeling uneasy, and he couldn't shake the nagging thought that once night fell, anything could happen. What was even more shocking was that the next day, Eric received devastating news. One of the campers had been found dead just hours after he left. The family reported him missing, and tragically, his body was discovered at the bottom of a cliff after he had struck the rock without wearing a helmet. Even though he behaved poorly, no one genuinely wishes death upon others as a form of karma. In the end, it was a wise choice for Eric to leave when he did, as no one could have foreseen what might have happened to him if he had stayed. If you find this encounter disturbing already, then let's move on to a more disturbing one. This unsettling encounter was documented by Urbex Smooch, a YouTube channel dedicated to urban exploration. The creator often explores abandoned and decaying locations, highlighting the eerie beauty of the forgotten structures. However, on March 6, 2015, the day took an unexpected turn.
Hello. Sorry. Just take some photos.
Well, shall I come to your house and smash the windows in and take the photographs? Can't you read? Just keep up to date with keep house.
I know, yeah. Sorry, we didn't mean any harm.
You damaged my fence, you damaged that.
I think it was already open, the fence.
It's not open.
No, that hole there.
And have you arrested when the police arrive?
Alright.
Criminal damage, I mean, you won't get a mortgage, you won't get a job. You won't get a credit card.
Well, I was only taking photos.
Don't give a monkey, you've ruined my Saturday. You
Yeah.
stay there until the police arrive.
Yeah, take that one. Right, it's going to be a tricky one getting over.
Stay there, stay there.
Huh?
Yeah, stay there. If you hurt yourself, I'll be liable for damage to you.
Are we coming over?
No, stay there.
Smooch and his friend decided to explore an old house that had been abandoned for over 30 years. The building was in complete disrepair and surrounded by barbed wire, likely intended to keep intruders out. Nevertheless, they found a way inside to satisfy their curiosity. As they wandered through the decaying rooms, they unexpectedly encountered a man who claimed the property belonged to him and warned them that they were trespassing. Smooch and his friend attempted to reason with the man, explaining that they were simply taking photos and meant no harm. However, the man was uninterested in their explanation, and his anger only intensified. It quickly became evident that this was not just a simple misunderstanding. What began as a fun adventure escalated into something much more serious.
Stay there.
We don't have to stay here.
We're making you stay here.
You can't make me stay here because there's.
Well, if you hurt yourself, I end up in jail. So you can't.
Well, you won't hurt yourself. I won't hurt myself.
Stay there.
You can't do that.
You can't come in my house. Okay? Don't tell me the law. You ruined my Saturday and keep out of my house.
Well, we're sorry. We didn't mean any.
Of course you mean harm.
Well, we're only taking photos.
You're gonna shit. It's my private house.
Sorry.
Nobody said they could take photographs. And we had burglars in there, and half the stuff is sold on eBay.
Well, we don't. We only want to take photos. That's the only thing we're going to be taking. How are we going to get out then?
We'll have to wait until the police come in and we'll open the fence.
Okay.
Smooch and his friend found themselves trapped inside an abandoned building, held against their will by the property owner, who had already called the police. The confrontation escalated as the man insisted they stay where they were. Fortunately, when the police arrived, they were able to defuse the situation. They investigated Smooch and his friend and charged them with trespassing. However, Smooch later confirmed that all charges were dropped since the house had been abandoned for decades. Thankfully, both Smooch and his friend made it out of the building safely and unharmed. Did you find this encounter shocking? Then brace yourself for what you are about to see next. On February 22nd, 2024, Carol, a YouTuber known for her channel Glorious Life on Wheels, shared a heartfelt story about a female nomad she met during her solo camping trip in Quartzsite, Arizona. The encounter took place around 1 or 2 a.m. while the woman was in deep sleep, enjoying a well-deserved break after a busy day of activities.
At approximately, sometime between 1 and 2 a.m. approximately, on the morning of Tuesday, February 20th, she was asleep in her car. And all of a sudden, her dog started just going wild, barking. And around the same time, she heard an OTV, like a ATV, like one of those dune buggy type of off-road vehicles, pulling up into her campground and up to alongside of her vehicle. Now, she wasn't sure exactly, because it happened so fast. She wasn't sure whether it was her dogs that woke her up, their barking, or whether it was her hearing the ATV driving up that woke her. But anyhow, she was in a deep sleep, so she was kind of groggy, and she's starting to wake up, and you know how when you're waking up, you're just kind of trying to get your bearings. And all of a sudden, now she's lying down, and it's just, kind of, I don't know if she was just raised up a little bit, trying to wake up to see what's going on.
She was jolted awake by unsettling sounds. Still deep in her sleep, she couldn't fully grasp what was causing the disturbance. What began as a brief escape from reality quickly escalated into something truly horrifying.
All of a sudden, there's this thunderous sound above her head, and she is just showered with glass everywhere. She told me she had glass in her hair, glass in her mouth, because she was just waking up. She had glass in her eyes. When I talked to her, she was still pulling glass out of her ears. She said there were so many small slivers that when she'd run her hands along her body, she could feel them, but she had a hard time getting them out. You can get a better idea from these pictures how much glass was on her pillow and also on the side and throughout her car. If you look, you can see there's not that much glass at the top of the pillow. The reason for that is because most of the glass that came down that would have come onto the top of the pillow actually came down and shattered, falling onto her face and her shoulders. She shared with me, however, that she was so shaken up when the police came out that she didn't realize that she was bleeding all up and down either one or both of her legs. She had glass everywhere on at least one of her legs. And the person who contacted me to tell me about this episode said that she tried to help. I'm going to call the victim T. She tried to help T, and she administered alcohol and was actually pulling the glass out of her legs because she was bleeding so badly. But again, like I said, she was so traumatized, she didn't even realize how seriously she was injured and that she had cuts up and down her legs.
It's so unfortunate that what began as a fun-filled adventure took such a drastic turn. The police were called, and upon their arrival, they conducted an investigation and attempted to apprehend the culprits. Unfortunately, their efforts did not yield any results. However, the victim eventually received medical attention, and I'm glad to report that she is doing well now. What's even more disturbing is that, before the woman was attacked, another female camper was approached by the alleged culprits shortly before the incident. Fortunately, she was vigilant enough to avoid any trouble. This serves as a stark reminder to always be aware of your surroundings, whether in a remote location or a busy area. If you are still watching, that means you like what we do. So, you might as well support us by subscribing as we delve into the next encounter. In July 2020, a man and his family were enjoying a perfect camping trip in the serene woods, surrounded by nature and laughter. However, their peaceful getaway changed around 4 a.m. when loud, strange noises suddenly woke them up.
That four-wheeler comes all the way back up, and it stops right next to our tent. So now that my wife and I are sitting at alert, all we hear from outside is, F this, mother F this, I'll fight every F'er out here, da. Angry, drunk yelling from right outside of our tent, feet away. Now my wife at this point, she says, hey, we've got kids. Just letting them know. We didn't get an apology for, hey, sorry we woke you up, sorry something's going on. All we got is, we got kids too, yelled back at us. And more angry cursing. So my wife and I kind of get up and we're listening to what's going on.
Come on!
Give mom the phone. No, here, give inside. And these people are arguing and kind of walking right through our camp now. It's two people, there's a male and a female, both drunk, and now walking through our camp.
A group of loud drunks entered the camp, breaking the silence with their slurred speech. They wore angry expressions, making it clear that they were looking for trouble. The atmosphere felt tense, and their boisterous behavior suggested they were seeking a fight.
We are in National Forest, no cell service, just us. The guy, he walks over where I'm standing, and then the gal starts yelling at my wife. F you, F this, and my wife says, hey, you need to move back. She tells my wife, you need to move back, bitch. And I was like, so my wife was a D1 athlete. She's in good shape, she's very strong, and this little gal would have no chance with her. So I looked at the guy and I said, hey dude, you don't want them throwing down, man. At which point he said, you want some too? And he threw his fist like really high up like this, like he was gonna come at me. And I said, no.
Give them a ride 2 miles, Sean, and they'll be done. Okay?
They could hurt you.
They're not gonna hurt me, okay? I'll give them a ride. Please don't.
As chaos erupted outside, the man's wife anxiously urged him not to go out, fearing what the drunken revelers might do. Torn between her concerns and the allure of the unfolding drama, he decided to step out into the unpredictable night, where danger lurked in every shadow.
So this guy is like too drunk to even walk up the little bank here. And I say, guys, I'm not trying to fight, but I have a lantern. Would it help if I bring some light and just help you get this thing started? At which point they finally backed off. The tension started to ease a little bit. And they said, yeah, you know what, we probably could. Now around this time, my wife got out of the car as well. She came over and she was just letting them know, hey guys, you know, sorry for all the yelling back and forth, but you just freaked us out. We had no idea what's going on. Our kids are in this tent. We had no clue. And then at this point, the other gal starts apologizing to us, and they're all trying to save face at this time. So my wife goes back in the car.
Fortunately, the situation was settled amicably, but this camping trip is one that the family will certainly remember for a long time. If you think these are the only cases campers encounter people, then you haven't seen this one. This next clip is from the YouTube channel Grizzly Gaz, where Gaz shares his outdoor adventures, often featuring his beloved dog, Fendi. On this particular occasion, Gaz decided to go on a camping trip deep in the woods of the UK. However, he had no idea that this trip was about to take an unexpected turn.
Let's just clean this fireplace up a bit. Scatter all this ash. Bloody midges. It's weed. Right, we've got steaks on go now. Bit of ribeye. Pot boiling for some mash. And I've got a visitor. Creeped up behind me asking me if I had a light. I shit me pants. This is Martin anyway. I don't know him, but he's stopping for a steak, so
just some random crate wandering about.
You went round here in a poncho a couple of months ago, were you?
I don't think I was. I could have been. It's possible.
Right, gonna get these cooked up.
As Gaz began preparing his meal, he was startled by an unexpected visitor. Although the man appeared harmless, his sudden presence deep in the forest was suspicious, making Gaz uncomfortable with his being around.
Didn't do much filming because of that lad, Martin, who creeped up behind me asking for a light. We were homeless, so I fed him some steak and some mashed potato, and he's gone on his way. So I'm just going to enjoy this fire now, kick back for a bit, then wait and see what the night brings. But what do you think, mate? I did ask Martin if he's been creeping about in these woods before, but he said he hadn't. Mind you, he's wrong build, isn't he? Than what I caught on my trail camera. I'm going to be on Noya now tonight as well. Thinking, is he going to come back? Because he wasn't a normal homeless person, if you know what I mean. After I fed him, he scurried straight off.
Despite Gaz's kindness towards the stranger, he found it odd when the man left without saying goodbye. Although Gaz tried to brush it off, suspecting that the man might not be in his right mind and could return, an uneasy feeling began to settle in.
The more I think about it, the stranger it gets. Fed that lad, and let's be honest, he were a junkie, right? Fed him, talking about life and how he got to where he is and drugs and whatnot, and then turned around to cut some firewood up. So I cut a couple of logs up, and when I turned back round, he'd gone. So scanned about, and he was just walking off into darkness. So I said, see you later, pal. He went, yeah, see ya, and just left. And I just found that really strange. Note's gone missing or out, he hadn't taken out, but that he just left without saying out has put the EBGBs up me, because he's going for two things. One, going to tell his mates that there's a guy camping out with a load of filming equipment, and two, he's going to score because he needs his fix. And even then, if he goes and scores, has his fix, talking with his mates while he's high, and I don't want to be having to fight off a load of smackheads at 3 o'clock in the morning.
The idea of a man lurking in the woods unsettled Gaz, causing him growing discomfort. Aware that this man had information about his gear, Gaz trusted his instincts and decided to pack up and leave, abandoning his plans for the night. As Gaz prepared to leave, he set up his trail camera in hopes of capturing any nighttime activity. However, when he returned the next morning, he discovered that the camera was missing. This unsettling discovery confirmed his fears. It was likely that the same man had returned during the night. If he hadn't trusted his instincts and decided to leave, something terrible might have happened to him. Now, to the last encounter. On November 16th, 2024, Adam, known for his channel Ad's Adventures and his passion for van camping, embarked on a camping trip. After a day of exploring, he parked his van near a gas station. To his surprise, he was startled awake at 3 a.m. by the sound of voices outside of his van. Curious about the commotion, he checked his camera footage. That's when he saw something unexpected.
Okay, so I've located two people on the right-hand side of the van. Oh no, maybe that's not them, because they're walking off up towards the motorway. Well, that's a bit weird. Why would you be walking up towards the motorway? But yeah, maybe that's not them, unless they come back, but they seem to be disappearing into the distance. Let's just fast forward a bit. Oh no, wait, they're coming back. Okay, this is blatantly them. Right, so that for some reason they've walked up towards the motorway and then they've come back into the service area. Yeah, they're coming directly to my van and they're going round the back of my van. Okay, so this is obviously when I heard their voices. Oh no, they're going straight up to... They've gone straight up to my driver's window and they're looking in it. I swear I heard them right behind the van though. So he's staring right in the driver's window, trying to see what he can see. I think he touched something there, did he? Okay, this is the point. So now they've gone round the back of the van. Now remember, at this stage, I'm still fast asleep, right? So let's pull up the back of the van. So enter the thieves. Around the rear of the van, they take a quick look at the back. One of them's smoking something. Maybe he's innocent. Maybe they were just smoking. I heard them. That's where I heard them talking. And I was sort of in a daze. And I was like, what is going on? They've gone back round to the other side of the van now. So let's pull that camera back up. Actually, no, it definitely wasn't innocent. Because I remember I heard them actually touch the handle. Oh, yeah, look, there we go. Right, he's bent down there. What's he doing? Yeah, he's trying to do something there. And that was where I shouted pigeon. Look at that.
Two hooded men were seen inspecting the van. Their identities and intentions remained unknown. However, when Adam attempted to alert them by screaming, the intruders realized that the van was occupied and fled into the darkness.
The fact that his hand's like touching the handle, but this is the point where I heard the handle go, and I'm half asleep and I shout pigeon, and I rush up and I open up this curtain here, and then you can see as soon as I do that, he says something to his mate, and they scamper off. So if we go back to the front camera, we should, yeah, there we go. So that's them. As soon as they know that I'm in the van, they're now just disappearing off into the night as though nothing's happened. And then, oh look, have they stopped? Are they trying a lorry? I know, maybe they haven't. The footage isn't that good quality, obviously, because it's real dark. But I think you can see they are just walking off into the distance there. So I'm sleeping like this, right? And I hear some noises real close to me, because obviously that is the back door right there. I hear the voices out there. That's when they chuck that cigarette away. Now, when I first wake up in the van, wherever I am, the first thing I'm thinking is, where the hell am I? I always forget where I've parked. And I'm like, right, there's people out there. And I suddenly realise I'm in the services, I think. I reach up here and I stick my CCTV on. It takes a second to load up. And then it loaded, and that's when I think I saw them around the side of the van. So I'm half asleep thinking, are they going to steal the pigeon? Are they gonna steal the pigeon? Are they gonna steal the... Handle goes, pigeon! Whoa! What's going on? Jump out the window like that, and then I see them scarper off into the right. Well, judging by the footage, I must have misjudged. It was less of a scarper, more of a saunter.
Although the situation could have escalated, Adam's quick thinking prevented it. Even though the threat has passed, the experience serves as a harsh reminder that danger can find you even in the most unexpected places.